So the latest patch for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game, is rolling out Tuesday, December 12th at roughly 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and there's a bunch of bug fixes that are occurring in this patch as they always are. But the biggest thing that we're going to be focusing on here are the major changes made that are actually going to affect players and gameplay. And there's a couple of things to talk about here. So let's just get right into it, starting with Johnny. There were some big changes with Johnny in the last big patch, and his hunt ability changes are not being reverted, but all the other changes that were made to him are being reverted. So they're saying here that Johnny is intended to have a lunge because his lunge was taken away from him. A lot of people were complaining about the lunge and the speed that came with that, and how people were exploiting that and just like getting really easy kills. If Johnny found you out in the open, it was wrap it up, man. You were done for. Just get back into the lobby and start looking for a new match, because that was really powerful. But they're saying here that Johnny is intended to have a lunge. His whole gameplay and his whole character hinges on his ability to get kills. He's a murderer. He's proficient at killing. That's what he does. He doesn't have extra things that add to the gameplay. Like, he's not bringing anything that adds to the gameplay loop of a match. Cook has his locks. Nancy has her barbed wire traps, Hitchhiker has his bone traps, Sissy has her poison, and Leatherface is a big bad of the game, right? You don't want to run into him at all because he's so powerful. Well, Johnny's whole thing is that you don't want to run into him in open space because he can lunge and he's going to kill you. But the problems that were coming with his lunge were that people were exploiting that for a speed boost when they would attack. People would endlessly swing at you because it would make them much faster, and they could catch up to you in a heartbeat. And it was just over, and people were really complaining about that, and that was an issue that a lot of people were having on the victim side, and I understand that. And so they tried to correct that, but what they did with that was that they unintentionally altered his lunge and tweaked his animation, so he was not lunging anymore, and Johnny just became the weakest family member to play in the game. This was not a desirable result, and they said that they're going to be reverting those changes. So the speed boost will be separated out and worked on at a later date with the intention to not alter his lunge. So essentially what this means is that Johnny's going back to how he was pre-patch, pre-big patch, because the one that came with, the Nancy and Danny DLC. So Johnny's going back to the way they were. So for those of you who are really struggling with Johnny, with the way that people were exploiting his speed boost, well, for right now, you're just going to have to deal with that until the next big patch rolls out, where they can focus on, keeping Johnny's lunge, but also taking out that speed boost that comes with his lunge. So in the meantime, you're just going to have to deal with Johnny's old ways, and he's going to be very, very annoying if he catches you out in space. So just wanted to let you guys know about that. Of course, this does suck for people right now who don't want to deal with Johnny in terms of when he's, that, exploitable and that powerful with his speed boost coming with his lunge. You're just gonna have to deal with that in the meantime, because that's gonna be there until they, probably not. You're probably gonna have to wait till January, till after the holidays, when they can fix that, where Johnny can still have his lunge but not have that speed boost attributed to that lunge as well. So another thing that we're going to talk about moving on from Johnny is a change that was made to remove barbed wires on ladders. So they have made a change to removing barbed wire and the prompt to do so. So previously you would get a prompt to remove Nancy's barbed wire traps from yourself while on a ladder. This would cause the victim player to become stuck, and you will no longer see a prompt going forward to be able to begin removing barbed wire while using a ladder. So that's not something I personally came across in my gameplay, but apparently enough people came across that issue to where they had to address it here. So hey, if you were dealing with that issue, then great, that's gonna get fixed by this time tomorrow. Another thing that has been changed is the community news and DLC menu banner. So they're adjusting the sizing of the banner on the main menu, and they're saying the banner is now 4 times larger. Okay, no, that's actually just a joke by the crew here. It's actually slightly smaller and flows better with the background. So a nice little, they got jokes, so they clearly got jokes, so that's nice to see a little bit of humor coming out of them. But it is nice to see that banner get shrunken down a little bit, because my goodness, that is just so obnoxious on the main menu screen. You just can't even see the house in the background anymore. It just the big old sign for Danny and Nancy just takes up like more than half the screen, it feels like. So that change is coming. And finally, the last thing that we're going to talk about is some tuning here with the nuggets, the radius, range, and duration issues. So with the changes made to noise being sticky to victims, we uncovered some issues with various nugget locations. Some nuggets were detecting victims through walls. That has been fixed. That is one thing that I actually noticed myself, where on Slaughterhouse, when you're coming out of the north, I believe it's the northwest tunnel, when you're coming right up, there's a nugget right on your left hand side on the other side of the wall. But if you're on the right hand side of it, that nugget will still sound off, and it'll let you know, hey, it'll let family know, hey, someone's getting out of that exit, you better come get them. And that's just not right. That's not fair. Now, if you're on the other side, if you're right next to Nugget, hey, all bets are off. But if you're on the other side of the wall, Nugget should not be able to detect you. So that's getting fixed. Some Nuggets were detecting victims through walls, of course. Again, I just mentioned that one. Some Nuggets were sticking noise pings to victims for far too long. That has been fixed. So for those of you who are coming across issues where the noise would follow you after for a good long while after Nugget had just detected you, that's going away. And pretty much, those are pretty much all the changes that we have in this patch in terms of big changes to gameplay loops in terms of the matches. So again, a lot of other small fixes made to errors and bugs that came with the last patch. That's all being fixed. You can find that on the official Reddit page for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game. But yeah, these are the patch notes for December 12th, 2023 for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game. I'm very curious to know what you guys are thinking. I think the big one here that people are going to want to talk about most is, of course, Johnny and the changes that were made with him and the fact that he's being reverted to how he was previously before the last big patch until they can fix, again, his speed boost that comes with his lunge. So let me know how you're feeling about that. As always, if you want to stay up to date on all the latest in the world of movie news, TV news, and video game news, you're already in the right place, and I hope you consider subscribing to the channel because I'd love to have you along for the ride. But until next time, this has been Millennium Media, and I will see you all very soon.